Yo, what up, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G133. I am back here tonight with the Legit Shoot podcast. Here with your Smackdown review and results for Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2020. Thank you guys for joining me right back here on the podcast for another episode. And I don't really know what to think of Smackdown tonight because not a lot happened. It was kind of a fun edition, but honestly, we're in the middle of a WrestleMania build, and basically WWE is building towards 3 shows at once. 3 shows. They're building towards Super Showdown, which is less than 2 weeks away. They're building towards the Elimination Chamber, and they're building towards WrestleMania. And this was kind of a fun edition of SmackDown. They're still trying to set things in stone with their WrestleMania plans, and I really don't know how to feel. The biggest thing on the show was Otis and the Mandy Rose Valentines date, the date that never happened thanks to Dolph Ziggler. I feel so bad for my boy Otis, but I'm not surprised. It kind of felt like we were going down this road. Like Otis was gonna face some heartbreak, and he did. Part of it's his fault. Showing up 30 minutes late to a date. Really, man? Come on. But also we had Bayley going up against Carmella. A SmackDown Women's Championship match, which was really, really good. This was probably Carmella's best match, probably on the main roster. And, this probably may have been Bayley's best title defense. She's been holding the SmackDown Women's Championship now for close to 10 months. I don't count the 5 days that Charlotte held that title. I really don't. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's basically been close to, a year now. And Bayley doesn't have a lot of memorable moments as champion, even though she's been dominant in a way. She's beating a lot of names, but still, you guys definitely see Bayley's, in recent weeks, she's been more of a dominant champion. And we all know this has to be leading towards Bayley and Sasha Banks. Sasha was not on the show again. She has not been on the show since the first SmackDown of the new year, back in the first week of January. Now we're in the middle of February, so it's been I believe 5 weeks now. It's been a while, and I miss the boss. I miss the GOAT, Sasha Banks, man. I want her back. But, you guys can definitely see that they're building towards Sasha and Bayley. And when Sasha does come back, she's going to get that babyface reaction because, we haven't seen her in a month and a half. But basically, those are the two big things going to the show. We had Roman Reigns and a mystery tag team partner going up against John Morrison and The Miz. Nothing too special there because I knew who the mystery partner was going to be because it was pretty obvious when you look at the roster. The baby faces and the heel. It was pretty obvious who was going to be Reigns' partner. And Baron Corbin got involved, of course, because, they're building towards Corbin and Reigns in a steel cage match at Super Showdown, which I could not give a damn about. Anyway, other than that, that was really it. There was not much happened. I'm not going to sit and say it was a bad show, because it wasn't. There was some good segments on here. Just in the grand scheme of things, not much happened. Let's just be honest here. Not much happened on the show, But the big thing is, Otis. I feel really bad for my boy Otis. Like I said, I knew something was gonna happen to derail his night. I knew the date wasn't gonna go as planned, and you really can't blame Mandy Rose in this situation. Most of this is kind of on Otis's fault, but still, but that's definitely the big thing, coming into this show. But the show started off with a moment of bliss. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross came out, and I'll say this to start off. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks this, but Nikki Cross, they messed Nikki Cross up big time. Like, I remember in NXT, Nikki Cross had her own identity. She was on her own person. When she was part of Sanity, there's almost nothing bad you could say about Nikki Cross. But ever since she's been up on the main roster, they've messed her up big time, especially since they paired her with Alexa Bliss. The last couple of weeks, you guys have noticed, I think I've said it in the last couple of reviews, but they've had Nikki Cross, dressing very similar to Alexa Bliss, wearing almost basically the same ring gear, same colors, same everything. And they continue that tonight. Alexa came out with, some kind of tight black suit, outfit, whatever you want to call it. It was like a tank top with black pants, but it looked like it was like a onesie in a way. But they had Nikki Cross wear basically the same exact thing. It's like they've decided to make Nikki Cross's identity be, identical to Alexa's. And I don't think that's right. They've really messed up Nikki Cross. I don't mind Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss as a pairing. I really don't. At first I thought this is not gonna last. It's gonna, eventually lead to Alexa turning on Nikki, to help Nikki get more over as a babyface. And I thought we were gonna get like a heel Alexa versus Nikki feud into the fall. But they fit pretty well as a tag team. The only thing now is they have Nikki basically as Alexa 2.0. They have the same mannerisms. They wear the same outfits. They say the same things. The only thing Nikki's missing is the blonde hair. And if Nikki gets the blonde hair, she'll probably become SmackDown Women's Champion before SummerSlam. Because you know how Vince loves his blondes. But, it pisses me off. It really does. I hate, what they're doing to Nikki Cross. But anyway, enough of me ranting on her. Alexa and Nikki come out, and they start Alexa's like, this is the first moment of bliss of 2020. Like, who cares? The way this segment started off was so cringy, so bad. I was like, oh man, this is not gonna be a good show. I was really already thinking about changing the channel because I was just like, they had Carmella come out, and it had been advertised that we were gonna get Carmella versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship because, the match was originally supposed to be at Super Showdown, but they decided to move the match to the night on SmackDown. I really don't know why. The reason I came up with is because, they were having trouble getting the Saudi Arabia government to agree to have more women's matches at Super Showdown. You guys know they had Lacey Evans versus Natalya at Crown Jewel back in November as the first women's match in the history of Saudi Arabia. So I guess, WWE was having trouble convincing them to do a match like that again. Because you guys know it is not good over there in Saudi Arabia right now. Times are tough. So I thought that was the problem. But it was revealed tonight that Bayley will be defending her SmackDown Women's Championship at Super Showdown, which we'll talk about in just a sec. And I kind of see where everything's going, and I'm liking this because now they're putting more of a focus on Bailey and the SmackDown Women's Championship. Ever since, the draft back in September, the SmackDown Women's Championship had basically been an afterthought. You know, Bailey had that short feud with Nikki Cross that really meant nothing. Then at Survivor Series, she had what we thought was going to be, match of the night with Becky, Shayna, and Bailey was a very disappointing, maybe the worst main event match we saw all year. Not scratch that. No. Probably second. The worst main event match of a pay-per-view we saw all year was probably Becky and Seth versus Corbin and Lacey. Remember that garbage winner take all match we had back then? Anyway, but still, you guys see my point. Then Bailey feuded with Lacey Evans for 2 months, which I didn't give a damn about. But still, throughout it all, they've made Bailey look like a dominant champion. She's looked like a dominant heel champion. Even though her reign they haven't really given her the opponents, give her the spotlight that the title deserves. I'm not going to sit here and lie. She's been a dominant champion. And that's good for her. She's done a great job as champion. I think Sasha Banks will do better, but I'm not taking anything away from Bailey. Because Bailey is great at what she does. Anyway, but yeah, I love the focus now that they're putting on the women's division. And I'll talk more about that in just a sec. But Carmella comes out, and basically Bliss and Nikki wanted to ask Carmella, you're facing Bailey, who used to be one of your best friends in this company, arguably your best friend, and what happened, and then they had like photos, because Carmella posted this all on social media during the week. They decided to show the photos during the show tonight, and basically Carmella said what happened is Sasha Banks happened, because Bailey goes on like ever since Sasha came back, she's had a whole attitude change with the blue hair and everything, and Bailey's just decided to follow that, and she's become a real jerk. And then Bailey came out as Carmella kept rambling, and Bailey was like, oh please, yes, we were friends in NXT, but we were never best friends. This has nothing to do with Sasha, and you're just a sheep, that I pitied you in NXT, and now tonight I'm gonna destroy you. Carmella got in Bailey's face. Bailey was like, get out of my face, blah blah this, blah blah that. Bailey dissed Alexa and Nikki, saying, don't look at me like that, I beat the both of you last summer. Remember, I think that was at Stomping Grounds when Bailey was still a babyface and Alexa and Nikki were heels at the time. So yeah, basically this led to the match itself. Carmella was like, instead of waiting for our title match later, why don't we do it right now? And they decided to do the match. This match, I believe, had 2 commercials breaks, but I'm not going to really get mad at it because this was a really good match. I've been saying for about maybe a year and a half now, when Carmella was originally SmackDown Women's Champion, I think this was back in 2018, all right? Yeah, 2018. This was right before Becky Lynch became the man. You guys know how much we did not like Carmella. I would diss her every single week on the podcast, how terrible she is, this and that, because remember what she would do? All she would do is scream in the ring. She wouldn't do anything. Remember how she beat Asuka like 2 pay-per-views in a row? And then at SummerSlam, in that triple threat match between Becky, Charlotte, and Carmella had a really good showing. She really impressed me. And then from there on, I decided to look at Carmella in more of a different light. I never really became a huge Carmella fan, but definitely after that, I looked at her as, okay, she's respectable in the ring. She's not bad. And over time, they haven't done anything with Carmella since then the best they've done with Carmella is, her and R-Truth's funny funny 24/7 championship segments. But other than that, they really haven't done anything with Carmella. And Carmella's a, I guess, an okay name in the women's division. She's nowhere near the level of a Sasha Banks or a Bianca Belair or a Bayley or an Asuka or somebody like that. She's nowhere near their levels, but she's not bad. She's okay in the ring. I've always known this. All right, and tonight was probably Carmella's best match on the main roster. I'm not gonna diss Bayley, but if that was Sasha Banks, I feel like that could have been an even better match because Sasha Banks can have a good match with a plastic bag. And I don't know. I don't think Sasha and Carmella have. I don't think they faced off since NXT. So definitely that's something I would definitely like to see. But still, Carmella really turned some heads tonight. This was a fantastic, well, not fantastic, but it was a really good match. A really good TV title match. Carmella really impressed. Bayley did great, and this is what they should have been doing with Bayley. Over time, her reign hasn't really been that remarkable in terms of matches. I remember when she went up against Ember Moon, I think at SummerSlam, how disappointing that was. Her matches with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss and Lacey Evans, and with Shayna and Becky at Survivor Series, her matches really have not been that great. Even her matches with Charlotte weren't really that great. And we all know how good Bayley is. But overall, over time, Bayley, we know Bayley's one of the best in the entire women's roster, but we also know that, that her reigns hasn't been that spectacular. She doesn't put on many spectacular matches, and I don't really know why. I don't know if that's the way her matches are produced. I don't know if that's her not having chemistry with her opponents. I just don't know. We all know how great Bayley is, but her matches during her reign have not been able to showcase that. This is what they should have been doing with Bayley during her entire reign as champion, giving her matches like this. This was a great match, and it had 1 week of build. One thing I'll give credit to is I believe they were in Vancouver tonight. I think Vancouver, Canada. And I'll give credit where credit is due. That Vancouver crowd probably has been the best crowd that WWE's had all year so far. That crowd tonight was fantastic. One thing I complain about a lot on the podcast is the lack of having good crowds in WWE. Like you go to like Tennessee or you go to Nevada and you get a weak crowd, a crowd that doesn't even feel like they care. It's a crowd full of casuals. No, those fans out there tonight were really on their game. They even took over the show at one point, and I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the Elias and Sami Zayn segment. But definitely, when you talk about the WWE Universe and their voice being heard, nights like tonight are what I'm talking about. That was a fantastic crowd tonight in Vancouver. I gotta give credit where credit is due. But, this was a back and forth match. Like I said, there was 2 breaks, and even though this went on over like the first 30-40 minutes of the show, I didn't mind this because this is the spotlight that the women's division needs. Let's be serious here. One thing that I say all the time is the 2 weakest parts of the main roster are tag team wrestling and the women's division. The women's division has not seen much of a focus since Ronda Rousey left, since Sasha Banks was gone last year. The women's division has not been able to get that focus. But still, this is what you need. This is what you need to build a strong women's division. All right, let's be serious here. And Bayley and Carmella, we need more matches like this. This is how you build. This is how you build legit superstars. You know, it's not all about just the four horsewomen and Asuka and Kairi Sane. No, there's so much talent in the women's division. You have a Sonya Deville, you have Mandy Rose, you have Carmella, you have Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan. I could go on and on and on about how much talent they have in the women's division. But for the most part, WWE doesn't put enough stock in their women, and it pisses me off. You guys know how much of an advocate I am for women's wrestling. And this is what we need. This is what we need to build a strong women's division around matches like this. Not 2-minute matches between Sonya Deville and Alexa Bliss. No, 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute matches. And the crowd was invested. The crowd, that Vancouver crowd, they were booing the hell out of Bayley, and they wanted Carmella to win. Carmella came very close to winning multiple times. At the end of this match, I think she super kicked Bayley, and Bayley rolled out of the ring to avoid being pinned. And they did make Carmella look a little bit stupid, because Carmella stood on the ropes for 30 seconds, in shock, oh, I missed my chance. Why don't you roll out of the ring, grab Bayley into the ring as quick as possible, do another move, and then get the cover? Why are you standing on the ropes for 30 seconds acting shocked, giving Bayley all the time she needs to recover? But boom, I don't know. But anyway, this led, Carmella's taking too much time led to Bayley rolling her up, and then, being the heel, of course, she put her feet on the rope to get, without the ref seeing, to get the 1, 2, 3. And that was that. After the bell, Naomi came out. It looks like Naomi dyed her hair pink. I don't know why. But yeah, she came out with a new pink ring gear, and her hair was all pink and all this other stuff. And her and Bayley got into a brawl. And a lot of people thought, including me, that Naomi should have been the one to get the chance against Bayley tonight. Since that's the fresher feud, that's a match I think we would all be more interested in. But they decided to go with Carmella, and I'm not going to complain. They gave us a fantastic match. Carmella and Naomi double team Bayley, as payback for Bayley cheating antics. But, afterwards they announced that next week, because Bayley did a promo, and she said, I'm the greatest SmackDown Women's Champion in history, which she probably is. She's the longest reigning champion, in the history of the SmackDown Women's Championship. But they did announce next week that they're doing a number one contender match between Carmella and Naomi, and the winner will face Bayley at Super Showdown. So once again, looks like we are getting Bayley defending at Super Showdown. Like I said, I don't know how it's gonna go, because we know we saw Lacey Evans versus Natalya at Crown Jewel. It wasn't even a match, really. It felt like they just sent those two out there to say, go for, fumble around in there for a couple minutes, and then Natalya gets the win. Honestly, I don't think a SmackDown Women's Championship match in Saudi Arabia is going to be taken that seriously. I really don't. But, where I think they're going, we know that Sasha Banks, she has not been on television for a month and a half, and all the signs point, all the rumors have it right now that WWE's planning Sasha versus Bayley at Mania, since that's the big time money match. That's the best match they could put on in the women's division. So this is what's going to happen. I think what's going to happen next week, one of two options. Carmella and Naomi both gave promos later on in the show talking about how they will become SmackDown Women's Champion. But, Carmella's saying, give me a rematch because, I deserve it. Naomi's like, oh, Bayley's never beat me. This is what's going to happen. One of two things. Either Naomi's going to beat Carmella clean, and we're going to get Bayley versus Naomi at Super Showdown, or some fuck fitness, Bayley's going to get involved in the number one contender match or something like that, and it's going to lead us to having a triple threat. I think it's more likely that we get Naomi versus Bayley, but you never know. You never know. Either way, Bayley's not losing the title. She's not. All right. What I think is gonna happen, because Elimination Chamber is gonna be taking place, I think, 1 or 2 weeks after Super Showdown. Because I know the SmackDown after the day after Super Showdown, John Cena's making his return to WWE to set up his WrestleMania program, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But uh, that show's gonna be in Boston, so definitely that's Sasha Banks' hometown. I think that's most likely when we see Sasha come back, because right after Super Showdown, WWE starts getting ready for the Elimination Chamber, the last show before WrestleMania, and the Elimination Chamber takes place March 8th. March, which, let me look at the calendar real quick. Legit Elimination Chamber is a week. I'm looking at it right now. All right, right now we have next week SmackDown on the 21st. We have Super Showdown on the 27th. We have SmackDown 28th, and the week after is Elimination Chamber. You have the go home show for Elimination Chamber on March 6th and 2 days. So legit 10 days. WWE only has 10 days to build towards Elimination Chamber after Super Showdown. So WWE, they're not gonna have a lot of time. They're gonna have the rush to get their card all set. It's gonna be probably like a TLC situation. You guys remember with TLC last month, WWE waited like till a couple days before the show to announce their card. What I think is gonna happen is Bayley's gonna defend and probably retain at Super Showdown, and then we're gonna have the elimination chamber a week after that. So most likely the day after Super Showdown. Uh, no matter, you know, if Bayley's there or not, because you never know, they could have travel issues. Most likely, what's gonna happen is the day after Super Showdown, they're gonna announce probably a 6-man or 6-woman elimination chamber match, because Becky's already dealing with Shayna, right? Becky's WrestleMania match is set in stone. We know it's gonna be Shayna Baszler. I mean, it's most likely that we're getting Sasha versus Bayley at WrestleMania. The day after Super Showdown, they're gonna announce in Boston. They're gonna announce the Elimination Chamber match for Bayley's title. All right, and it's gonna be a mix of all the women in the women's division. I think there's 9 women in that division. So, but most likely it's gonna probably be Bayley, Sasha, Alexa, Naomi, Carmella, and some other. It could be Dana Brooke or Deville Rose. It doesn't really matter. Who cares? But I know for sure it's gonna be Carmella, Naomi, Alexa, Sasha, Bayley. Those 5 will definitely be in the chamber, and they'll decide who's gonna be the other one. But that's and then Elimination Chamber is where they're gonna set up Sasha Banks versus Bayley. Simple, set in stone. There's like, let's be serious here. It's pretty easy to tell. This is where they're gonna set up this match between Sasha and Bayley. It makes too much sense, especially with the history that Sasha and Bayley have inside the chamber, where they won the women's tag team titles, where we thought Sasha was turning heel on Bayley a couple years ago, and now it all comes full circle when Bayley finally turns on Sasha in the chamber, turning Sasha into a babyface, Bayley into a heel, Bayley into a bigger heel, and finally setting up the Clash of Titans, Sasha and Bayley at Mania. That's where I think we're heading with this. All right, so we probably won't see Sasha next week. They're probably taking it easy with Sasha because they need her healthy. I think we're gonna see Sasha the day after Super Showdown in her hometown of Boston, when she'll make her return, and we'll start seeing probably the tension build between Sasha and Bayley, and the big split where Bayley will finally turn on Sasha at the Elimination Chamber. That's where I think they're going with this. All right. Anyway, we spent a lot of time on Sasha we just spent a lot of time talking about Sasha and Bailey and the women's division. You guys can tell how much I love talking about the women. Anyway, next up, we had Sheamus versus Shorty G and Apollo Crews. All right, there's not much happened in this match, really. Sheamus defeated these two in like less than 5 minutes. You know, not like I'm saying, expect this with Sheamus until we get close to WrestleMania. I don't know. If you want to make Sheamus look important, where's Mustafa Ali? You guys know how much I love Mustafa Ali. We have not seen him. He wasn't even in the Rumble. I don't think we've seen Mustafa Ali in 2 months. I think last time he wrestled on TV was in the beginning of December. I don't know. I don't know if Vince put Mustafa Ali in the doghouse like he put Cedric, because I missed Ali. The guy's great. But I don't know where he is. We haven't seen the guy. Like, why don't... Because what I think is going to happen is, I think Sheamus is going to be the guy to take the IC title from Braun Strowman. Potentially, maybe at WrestleMania, but I think eventually when Sheamus loses... When Strowman loses that IC championship, he's losing it to Sheamus. You know, it's like, I believe the IC title is the only title that Sheamus has not won on the main roster, other than the Universal title. And if Sheamus wins that title, he becomes a Grand Slam champion. So, definitely. I think Sheamus is going to be the guy to take that title off him. Sheamus was actually getting cheered, because Vancouver, definitely there. Vancouver's a great crowd, man. But yeah, they were cheering heavy for Sheamus. Sheamus hit a bro kick on Apollo Crews. Then he hit a bro kick on Chad Gable. Easy victory for Sheamus. But like I said, you need something for Sheamus to do. Have him feud with somebody like Mustafa Ali. Like, I don't see that hard. Or, Daniel Bryan's not doing much right now. Give me a Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus feud. Like, damn. If you're trying to be patient, if you're trying to save Sheamus versus Strowman, I'm giving you ideas for feuds you can do with Sheamus. I don't want to see a Sheamus and Roman Reigns feud, because we've seen that before, and I don't want to see Sheamus get buried. Like, I like Sheamus a lot. I don't want to see him get fed the Roman Reigns, and then all his momentum goes down the drain. Anyway, we had a Hulk Hogan exclusive interview. You've seen WWE do this a lot now. Whenever they announce like a star or a legend or a part-timer, being on the show, they usually show up via satellite. It's become a huge norm. Like we've seen it with Stone Cold Steve Austin in recent months. We've seen it with Hulk Hogan. We've seen it with Ric Flair. We saw it with Goldberg last week, when, they used that to set up Goldberg versus The Fiend. And before this, they showed like a 3-minute video package of everything like Goldberg's done in his career. His dominance in WCW, when he won the World Heavyweight Championship back in the early 2000s, and, his comeback a couple of years ago, and his desire to be Universal Champion again. And it was also announced that Goldberg will be appearing next week on SmackDown. So I think what's going to happen is Goldberg is going to appear. He's going to give a promo. And we're not going to see, him and The Fiend fight. What I think is going to happen is, I think they're going to do what The Fiend always does. He's going to show up from behind, and he's going to do the mandible claw on Goldberg. Give us a preview what's going to happen Sunday. I don't see Goldberg, doing a spear or a jackhammer on The Fiend before Super Showdown. I just don't see that happening. I think they're going to save that image for Super Showdown itself, because like I've been saying, Goldberg versus The Fiend is just a preview of Roman Reigns versus The Fiend, because Goldberg's going to give Roman Reigns a hint of how many damn spears it's going to take, Reigns to beat The Fiend. It's as simple as that. If John Cena does have something to do with that, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But Hulk Hogan joined Michael Cole. He was live from his home. They probably did this over Skype or whatever. Um, but he talked about the Hall of Fame and how he's getting inducted for the second time. He's been in the Hall of Fame on his own, and now he's getting inducted with the New World Order, NWO, of course. And then this led to them talking about Goldberg and Goldberg versus The Fiend. Honestly, I didn't really care for what Hulk Hogan said. He didn't say anything meaningful for me. Nothing that I really cared about at all. He was just going, talk about how dangerous Goldberg is in the ring, but also how dangerous The Fiend is, and how it's going to be a really interesting matchup, even though I'm not really that excited for Goldberg and The Fiend. But the segment got good once Bray Wyatt appeared. All right, they had the emergency. They had an emergency thing come up, kind of like when the NWO would come out and they would have the static with the black and white filter. They did that here with The Fiend, and I loved it. Basically, Bray Wyatt basically said, "Be careful, Hulk Hogan, because I could add you to my wall." He already had a photo of Hulk Hogan with the marks and everything he does whenever the Fiend attacks an opponent. I absolutely love this. Hulk Hogan looked legit scared, oh gosh. And then and even though this wasn't long, this was fantastic. It was very similar to what they did with Goldberg last week, and I didn't really mind it. Didn't mind it at all. But Wyatt also said he didn't need luck against Goldberg because he's got The Fiend, which I thought was a kind of bomb badass line by Bray. But anyway, this ended with Hulk Hogan said, "Thank you, Michael Cole, for the interview," because Hogan legit looked spooked, and he said, "I'll see Wyatt. I'll see you in Tampa, for WrestleMania weekend, of course." And that's that. We're not getting a Hulk Hogan Bray Wyatt match. I saw some idiot to put that on social media. I was like, "You guys lost your mind." Hogan's in his 60s, and nobody wants to see Hulk Hogan back in the ring. Trust me, please. I don't want to see a Hulk Hogan match. You guys do not want to see a Hulk Hogan match. So, let's get those thoughts out of our minds. All right? We clear there? We good? All right. Anyway, where does this lead us in terms of WrestleMania? John Cena, and I already talked about this a little bit earlier on in the pod. We know that John Cena is coming back in a couple weeks in Boston. He's making his return to WWE. They had a bomb-ass promo. They do this every single time with John, man. They give him this bomb-ass video package for when he's returning. And I will most likely be there live in Boston for that. I don't go to a lot of WWE shows these days, but man, to see John Cena live, definitely I'll be there. Because you guys know how big a Cena guy. That was my guy growing up. And hopefully Sasha Banks will be there as well. Get to see Cena and Sasha Banks in one night. Man, dream come true. Anyway, we know that John Cena has full creative control of his WrestleMania match this year. He's been given full creative control. But what does that mean? Well, three options. It's going to be interesting to see. We know that they want Roman Reigns versus The Fiend as the main event of WrestleMania. Vince wants Roman Reigns to main event his 5th WrestleMania, which I think, I'm not sure, but I think that may tie him with Cena for the record for most main events ever, for most main events in WrestleMania history. I think Cena has 5 of them. Maybe 6, but I think it's 5. No, I'm thinking off the top of I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think Cena has 5, So I think that would tie him for the record. Hulk Hogan might also have that record, but anyway, you guys get the point. But with John Cena getting in there, I would much rather see I would love to see John Cena get number 17, get his 17th world title reign instead of seeing freaking the Fiend. I mean, not the Fiend, to see the Fiend lose to Roman Reigns and Reigns be on top of the mountain again. We know eventually, that Roman Reigns is gonna become Universal Champion. No matter if it's at WrestleMania or SummerSlam, it's gonna happen this year at some point. We've been able to go over a year and a half without Reigns as champion, but we know how Vince wants him back at the top of the mountain. But definitely, I would much rather see a part-timer John Cena finally break the record with Ric Flair, get number 17. I think it would be a great way for Cena to end his career. Cena's part-time now. Cena's part-time, and he's becoming a huge star in Hollywood. And honestly, I wouldn't mind it. I really wouldn't. Having hit, Tampa Bay, it's where he lives. And having him be able to have like one final match in Tampa Bay where he lives, getting number 17 in front of that crowd. What else could you do in that moment? What else could you do? And it's one of the only championships he hasn't won. He hasn't won the Universal Championship. And it's kind of crazy that he never became a Grand Slam champion. Because Cena becoming Intercontinental Champion, that never came to fruition because they would always give him the United States Championship instead. But I would absolutely love to see John Cena get number 17 at WrestleMania. But the thing about it is, there's rumors saying that there's actually a chance that they might have Goldberg defeat The Fiend. I hope that's not the case. Best case scenario, this is what I would do. Because there's rumors saying that we could get John Cena versus Goldberg, which, as iconic a match that would be, no. I don't want to see Goldberg anywhere near a championship match at WrestleMania. After what we saw with Goldberg versus The Undertaker last year, absolutely not. I'm sorry. I might be in the minority there, but no. Alright? If you give me Goldberg versus Roman Reigns, I'll take that. I have no problem with that. The spear versus the spear, whatever. You're going to have Roman Reigns be the one to, retire Goldberg or whatever. Fine. I'm okay with that. And speaking of part-timers, it's being, look like that AJ Styles, his WrestleMania match is going to be with The Undertaker. So two of my favorites going at it at WrestleMania. I don't have a problem with it, because that's great. I love AJ Styles. You guys know how much I love The Undertaker as well. But I was thinking maybe you should do something like Aleister Black versus The Undertaker or Aleister Black versus AJ Styles. And I'm thinking about it. And also, with all these rumored matches, how freaking long is WrestleMania going to be this year? Like, seriously, how long is WrestleMania going to be? Because thinking about all these matches, they usually defend every single championship. Every single championship gets defended at WrestleMania, basically. And on top of that, you have all the singles matches. Because, either we're getting John Cena versus Goldberg, John Cena versus The Fiend, or some combination of Cena, Goldberg, Reigns, and The Fiend in like either a fatal 4-way or a triple threat or something like that. It's one of those three options. All right, we'll get probably a clear idea after Super Showdown and once Cena actually returns in a couple weeks. But it's one of those three options. All right, so that's already potentially two matches. Then you have the WWE Championship with Lesnar and McIntyre, most likely. Then you're most likely gonna have three women's matches. All right, Sasha versus Bayley, Becky versus Shayna, Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. So just right there, that's already 5 matches. All right, 5. All right, and then you have Edge versus Randy Orton, which in my opinion that should probably start off the show. I would start off the show with Edge versus Randy Orton. All right, which is 6. Then you have Seth Rollins, AOP, and Buddy Murphy probably going up against Owens, Samoa Joe, and somebody else. All right, so that's 7. Then that's not even factoring in your mid card titles, right? I think there's a chance that most of the mid card titles will probably get defended on the pre-show. You know, I could definitely see either like Strowman versus Sheamus on the pre-show, or Andrade versus, I don't know what they're gonna do. Andrade versus Mysterio, or Andrade versus Humberto, something like that being on the pre-show. Right, so that's already 9 matches. Then you have your battle royals with, the Andre the Giant, and then the women's battle royal. So that's already freaking 10, 11 matches at this point, right? And then you have your tag team title matches. 13, that's now you're up to 13. And then if you're doing AJ Styles versus Aleister Black, that's about 14 matches. That's going to be a long ass night. That's a lot of matches to get through, but it's probably going to be a 5-hour show. So, hey, it's WWE. They don't care. They don't care. But it's just something, you guys need to keep note of, because this card this year is going to be stacked. And the thing about it is, I just gave you probably most of the matches that are going to be on the WrestleMania show. But here's the thing. There's going to be a lot of talent that's not going to be on the show. I'm sitting here thinking, what is a Daniel Bryan going to do for WrestleMania? Like, what? I don't know what you do with a Daniel Bryan. Do you throw him in the IC title situation? Do you throw him in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal? Which I would find disrespectful on somebody like a Daniel Bryan. Do I throw him in with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and what they're doing over there as like a special guest? I don't know. I honestly don't know what you do with Daniel Bryan, and WWE's roster is so loaded. It's hard to find a spot for all these guys. Like it's crazy. It really is crazy, man. But anyway, like I said, I don't know. We're gonna have a clear idea of what they're doing with John Cena once he comes back. But still, man, it's a roller coaster. All right, let's be serious. It's a roller coaster. Next up, we had, Sami Zayn and Cesaro's protest concert. This was actually pretty funny. Sami Zayn is a gem on the mic. We all love Sami Zayn. All right, and freaking there was a line in here with Sami Zayn roasted, Woody Guthrie. I don't know if I said his name right, but when he said that and how pissed the Vancouver crowd got, the heat that Sami Zayn got for saying that was absolutely wild, absolutely wild, man. But basically they Sami Zayn and Cesaro want to have a protest concert. The protest, the injustice happening with Shinsuke losing the IC title to Strowman. Shinsuke wasn't there. Shinsuke was not on the show at all. Even though it looks like they're building towards a Strowman versus Shinsuke rematch for Super Showdown. But I don't know what's going on there. But, excuse me. But, Sami Zayn, he was trying to, play his mini guitar, and they had Cesaro on the cowbell. And this was, funny. They kept, it's like Sami Zayn was looking for any reason not to have to do the song, because you could tell he had no idea what the hell he was doing. It looked like he was just trying to stall for time until Elias came out. So Elias came out and he staged his own counter protest, and this was great. This was great because of Sami Zayn and the Vancouver crowd taking over. The Vancouver crowd was heavily on the side of Elias. They kept saying, "Walk with Elias." Every time Sami Zayn would start playing, they'll go like, "Walk with Elias," And Sami Zayn just telling them to shut up, and then he said the the Woody Guthrie line that got everybody riled up, and there's a part there when Cesaro was playing the cowbell really loud, and Sami Zayn tells, "You're playing it too loud, man. Like, cool down a little bit." And then the crowd's like, "We want the cowbell. We want the cowbell." And then Cesaro looked like he was gonna turn babyface right there and start playing the cowbell, but instead he just throws it out of the ring, much to the anguish of the crowd. Then after that, you know, Sami Zayn is saying, "I guess this contest is over." Not contest. This protest is over, and then the crowd's like, "Yes, yes, yes, yes," and then this just turns into a beatdown from Elias, and then Braun Strowman comes out, and of course, uh, Cesaro and Sami Zayn escape because one of the security guards tries to attack Strowman, and Strowman lays them out. So is what it is. There wasn't a bad segment. It was kind of fun because of how great the Vancouver crowd was getting involved, and that's what the WWE universe is all about. Let's be serious here. When you go to a show and you have fun like that, the show becomes better just because of that. One of the reasons why the show was fun tonight is because the Vancouver crowd brought it. They weren't like a house show crowd or like a dying crowd that didn't seem to have the energy. You know what I mean? They brought it from the jump, and I really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed this, and Sami Zayn is great at what he does. All right, so now the big thing: the Mandy Rose and Otis date. We have been wanting this for weeks now, and man, oh man, do I feel bad for Otis. Otis had been preparing for this, waiting for this moment. He had his hair all combed. He had roses and everything all set. But one thing that I would say Otis did mess up on, he left. He left Mandy at the restaurant for a good 30 minutes. Corey Graves was screaming on commentary like, "What the hell is Otis doing? He's messing up. You don't leave a girl there for 30 minutes late." But it seemed like Mandy was there ready to stick it out. She wasn't leaving. She was going to wait for him. And, Otis finally gets to the restaurant. He goes up to the hostess and he's like, "Have you seen my peach?" And at first the host is like, "Huh?" But then the host is like, "Oh, she's right in there." And right as he walks in, the second before he walks in, we see Mandy. She's looking at the menu, and someone taps her shoulder, and she thinks it's Otis. She's like, "Oh, Otis, I thought you'd never come." But then we look around, and I knew the second that we saw someone tap her shoulder, I knew. I was like, "Oh no, it's not Otis. It's Dolph Ziggler, the ladies' man himself." And I don't. I know this is all scripted. This is, for entertainment, of course, but I don't like Dolph Ziggler because, not gonna lie, if you guys have seen Total Divas or Total Bellas, I don't know. There was a point in time when Ziggler used to date Nikki Bella, like years ago. And when John Cena was with Dolph Ziggler, I don't believe I just said that. When John Cena was with Nikki Bella, there was a point where Dolph tried to actually steal. There was a storyline on the show where Dolph actually tried to steal Nikki back from John Cena. There was a point where she tried to kiss Nikki Bella backstage on one of the shows, and Nikki stopped Dolph from doing it. So this guy's a stealer. I don't know Dolph's personal life. I don't really give a damn. But we see Dolph sit down, and he's sharing a glass of wine with Mandy Rose. And I was just like, because then Otis walks in and he sees Dolph and Mandy having a glass of wine together, and man, my heart sank for Otis in that moment. You could see Otis legit, his heart break in half. I almost freaking started tearing up just a little bit. I felt really bad for Otis, and I kind of knew something like this was gonna happen because it's WWE. It was not gonna be that easy, but this is like the second time even though part of it is Otis's fault. You don't show up 30 minutes late to a date, people. You know, but you had the feel for Otis, man. You know, this storyline we've all been invested in it for months now. This started way back, right around Christmas time, and here we are 2 months later. Everything's been leading to this, and now to see Otis has his heart broken as he sees Mandy, with Dolph Ziggler. And the thing about it is, Mandy could have been like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Dolph. You know, I'm here with Otis. I'm waiting for Otis." She could have easily just rejected him, but instead, she's sharing wine with Dolph. And man, oh man, you had to feel bad for Otis. And at that point, I felt really bad for Otis, man. It's going to be very interesting to see. I love this storyline. I can't wait to see what happens next. Next week. Okay, I know for sure next week we're gonna see a sad Otis. It's gonna be interesting. Will Mandy or Dolph, will they get booed out of the arena next week? Do we have a new super couple on WTV with Dolph and Mandy, or will Mandy give Otis another shot? Who knows? But I'm really enjoying this storyline, but if you didn't feel bad for Otis, if you didn't at least shed one tear, then you're not a human being, man. And if you had to feel bad for Otis, man, because I'm very invested in this storyline, and I hate to see my man get dumped, get his heart broken on Valentine's Day. The face that Otis made, and then the red roses, it's like they died right at the moment. He threw the red roses down and just left. The thing about it is, Mandy didn't even notice Otis was there. She's too busy chatting it off with Dolph. So that makes things even worse. So definitely, I cannot wait for next week to see what happens. But last but not least, we had the main event. We had John Morrison and The Miz versus Roman Reigns and a mystery partner. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I didn't watch this. I decided, turn off the show early. It had been a decent SmackDown till then, and then I just didn't care about this. I decided to go take a shower, and get ready for the review. But nothing happened in this match. The mystery partner was Daniel Bryan, and I was not surprised because I predicted this. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I predicted this because you knew that Reigns' partner was going to be a babyface. And you think about it, there's not many top babyfaces on SmackDown. All of the baby faces are on Raw. Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, the Ricochet. The list goes on and on. Monday Night Raw is full of baby faces. SmackDown, other than Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Braun Strowman, who's left? We don't see Mustafa Ali on television. Chad Gable, and Apollo Crews, people don't really care about him. Kofi Kingston is in a tag team. Otis is in a tag team, so I don't really count that as much. So honestly, we had already seen Strowman earlier in the night, so it made sense that Daniel Bryan was going to be Reigns' tag team partner. But I didn't watch the match, but I do know at the end that Reigns hit Miz with a spear. And I was not happy because I believe most likely Miz and Morrison are taking those titles. They're taking the tag team titles most likely from the New Day at Super Showdown. I think that's going to happen. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, it's whatever. But if you're building up Miz and Morrison for their tag team title match against the New Day, who were not on the show tonight, why would you have them lose? You had them lose clean to Roman Reigns via spear. It wasn't even a flush finish. It was nothing. They lost clean to Roman Reigns. This is the return of the Roman Reigns agenda. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The Roman Reigns agenda is back in full swing. Full swing. And, it's trouble for everybody involved. It's not good. Not good at all. But after the match, they had Baron Corbin attack Roman Reigns, just for Corbin to get the upper hands on Reigns before their steel cage match. at Super Showdown, which I don't give a damn about because I'm so over this feud, just like you guys are as well. You know, if you wanted to do the Baron Corbin attack on Roman Reigns, why didn't you just do the attack during the match? That way, Reigns doesn't look bad. Miz and Morrison don't get beat, right? They still look reasonably strong going to their match with the New Day, but you decided to have them lose clean, which makes no sense. But hey, the Roman agenda is back. WWE had done a decent job up to this point, and the main event does, went out over all of our heads. Like, who give a crap? But anyway, guys, overall, this wasn't a bad edition of SmackDown. It was a fun edition. It wasn't bad. The women's division is finally getting back to where it needs to be, in my opinion. I'm probably going to do a video that might make some of y'all angry in the next couple of days. It has to do with Bayley and Becky and comparing their title reigns. So be on the lookout for that. But this was not a bad edition. Bayley versus Carmella was really good. Definitely, there wasn't a lot of in-ring matches. I think there was only 3 in-ring matches on SmackDown tonight. But overall, a decent show. Wasn't bad at all. It's going to be very interesting, like I said, to see where do they go from here. Because we are on the road to WrestleMania, people. And still, once Super Showdown passes, WrestleMania will be here just like that. Because we have the Elimination Chamber a week after Super Showdown. And then we have about 3 weeks. Because WrestleMania is the first week of April. And then, bam. We're right there. So it's definitely a lot of things going on right now. So I'm happy to see the women's division is finally, getting back to a point of relevance. Otis and Mandy Rose, definitely I love this storyline. I feel so bad for my boy Otis, man. My heart feels for him, man. So we'll just have to wait and see where they go from here. But other than that, guys, that's about what I got for you guys today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you guys enjoyed. Enable notifications by clicking the button next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Also, follow me on social media, guys. The links are in the description down below. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night, guys. Peace.